Welcome to my story What Makes a Snake Part 3. I hope you like previously parts. Let's go on the story. She had worked at the company for years, and people genuinely seemed to have forgotten she existed. Terrible thing, isn't it? I guess it didn't get the memo. Poor thing, she said, stroking the coffee machine like a dog. We're going to have to squeeze it out. But let's give it a chance. This is an amazing place to work, after all. It probably just got too excited and passed out, like at one of Krakow's stand-ups. It'll get the memo eventually. She sat down and returned to her magazine. Sam sat across from her and sipped his tea. They often sat in silence. It was nice after being in the main office full of chatting snakes and tigers. Sam considered telling Reesha about his meeting with Wendy, but he didn't see the point. It was probably nothing. He finished his tea. And he didn't want to break the peace. He finished his tea. See you later. Oh, I don't know if I'll be around. I might have to drill down with my friend here. She pointed at the box of biscuits. He laughed and left. After replying to some more emails, Sam went on his favorite website, a forum where people complained about their jobs. There was a thread from someone saying they had just been squeezed out of their company for stealing sheets of paper. It was ridiculous, really, because everyone took office supplies every now and then. The secret was not to get caught. But still, sheets of paper. Sam was fortunate he had Reesha, who had taught him all her best tricks. It showed that you were paying attention and made you look like a team player, but didn't require you to actually think. Sam had done this for long enough that he barely had to say anything. Now he finished reading the thread about being squeezed out, then got up to go sort the filing cabinet. It was amazing how messy the others left. There were already a few new documents, the minutes of that morning stand-up, as well as a report from one of the pigs who had just got back from a business trip. Sam didn't remember anyone taking minutes that morning. As he picked up folder to move into the correct place, folded piece of paper fell out. Curious, he bent down to pick it up. There was an S written on it, long and round like a snake. He blinked and looked around. Everything looked normal. His colleagues were sitting at their desks throwing a ball of paper to each other and shouting out ideas for the next company trip. Sam turned back to the filing cabinet and unfolded the paper. W is trying to squeeze you out. He froze. His heart beat faster and faster until his chest shook like a tower in an earthquake. He was far too young to be having heart problems, but Sam had never had much of a choice in these things. His head went foggy as he tried to figure out what this could mean. W's obviously meant to Wendy, but why would she be trying to squeeze him out? Cold sweat ran down his forehead as he thought back over everything he'd done in the past week. He couldn't think of any mistakes he'd made, and he got the report in on time. So what was the problem? But she did want to touch base with him. He took a deep breath and chewed on a nail. Wendy and Krakow were drilling down with the strategy sharks that afternoon. The sharks were a department Sam really didn't understand. They never left their offices, and at company parties they stood in a tight circle, drinking whiskey and vodka and laughing loudly at whispered jokes. Could the meeting with the sharks be about cutting people out of the company? The whole reason Sam got the job originally was because the company had fired a bunch of people and then realized they needed more. It came to be known as the squeezing. But everyone acted like it would never happen again. The company had lost a lot of money. Except maybe things had changed, and maybe now was not the time to be keeping to oneself. He turned the paper over, looking for a sign of who'd written it, but there was nothing aside from the S. With shaking hands, he put it in his pocket and returned to his desk. He couldn't lose this job, he couldn't. When he'd started, he was several months behind on bills, and had a loan to pay off for the year he spent after his sick mother. He was only now starting to feel financially secure. And he was hardly going to get a good letter of reference from Wendy if she was the one squeezing him out. He went to the kitchen to try and find Reesha, but she was gone. Not even her magazine remained. He tried to make a coffee, forgetting that the machine was broken, and it sprayed hot water in his face. "Fuck," cried Sam. He dried his face with a dirty tea towel, ate 10 biscuits and returned to his desk. He took some painkillers, bit the inside of his mouth and forced himself to think. The atmosphere in the room had definitely changed. Many more people were doing actual work than before. The word was spreading. By the sounds of it, the Strategy Sharks meeting was going to be big. So that must be where they were going to officially decide who was getting fired. In that case, Wendy's meeting with Sam was probably to help her decide whether he should get squeezed out, or someone else. Their department was small, less than 30 people, so it was unlikely they were getting rid of many. That meant Wendy hadn't made her final decision. Sam felt a small ray of hope. He had one chance left. What could he do to convince Wendy he should stay? Clearly, hard work wasn't enough. He couldn't rely on a good personal relationship with her either. "Everything all right here, Sammy?" "Say, why's your hair wet?" Sam jumped. It was Eric, his least favorite colleague. "I'm great," he said dryly. "I ran my head under some cold water. It's a great way to boost your energy. You should try it."